I'm Davie.
I'm Misty.
DMWATS.
Unscripted.
Unedited.
Unapologetic.
Let's get it. What's going on, everyone? I am Davie.
I'm Misty.
And we are DMWATS. You guys, welcome to another episode, or actually our special episode.
Special episode.
It is a special episode. Today we are going to be talking about PTSD. You guys have noticed we do a few specials, and this one came up, and obviously this month is PTSD Awareness Month.
Yes, it is.
So we wanted to do a special on none other than PTSD. So without going too deep, PTSD is basically your people's response to a traumatic event. It's the way people deal with when they have had a traumatic event in their life that has probably resulted in death or serious injury to themselves or someone else. And so it's PTSD affects quite a few people.
Mm-hmm.
It was like 8 million last we checked. It's 8 million, and that's just
in the United States.
And that's the ones that have been diagnosed.
Correct.
Those are the ones that have been diagnosed. There's no telling how many people are actually dealing with PTSD.
And those are civilians and military.
And military.
From active duty to retirement.
Truth. To active duty, retirement.
It's not just military specific.
Nope, not just military specific. But, today we're going to share some things with you guys, given our account.
Our experience
with
it. And I'm going to throw out a disclaimer, kind of like when we talk about stocks and crypto and stuff. We're not therapists.
Yeah, we're not therapists.
We're not. This is not God's gospel.
No,
this is our
this is our account
experience. Yeah. And this is what we have gone through and what we are currently battling together,
mm-hmm.
and how we handle it, and again it's our unique experience, and I want to remind everybody also, trauma is trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Trauma is trauma.
Yeah.
So if Davie is to share, and I'm going to let him run most of this because this is his battle. So but don't sit there and go, oh, that's not that bad. Yeah, well, you weren't there.
Well, you can say whatever you want.
And not only that, but again, trauma is trauma. So
yeah.
it's unique to everyone, and everyone handles their trauma differently.
True. So I would say she's lying a little bit to y'all. She's not just gonna let me in on it because this is something we've been going through together.
We go through it together.
Right. So without getting even deeper into that, we'll just go ahead and start and say that, hey, I served 22 years in the Air Force, and proudly wouldn't have changed a thing in it. And during that time, as 22 years, I started to notice some things. I was actually medically retired due to some findings of PTSD. And so, what happened is, you let's face it, Iraq, Afghanistan, and all those places, they're not fun. And it's not just those places, Heck, I even had some things happen when I was stationed in Japan that really, really got to me. So I start to notice after a while, I was just really angry all the time, And then I started to notice, like, hey, like, why do I keep having nightmares and things like that about the same incidents with an S? The same incidents. And, I led a very active career. I was really energetic, really just active, hey, really social, loved to be out and about, talking with people. That was my thing, and then I just started to notice that my concentration, it was very hard to concentrate. You start to where, I about all these deadlines, emails. Hey, we need this by this day. Cool. I pulled the email up and I couldn't even type the word "the" in there. It was like I couldn't concentrate. I remember I could sit here and put out a evaluation. We call them EPRs in the Air Force. You put out an EPR like, hey, it take me like maybe 2 hours to do one of those things. I mean, it can take a while, but then I'm starting to notice that it's taking me days to do one thing. I'm like, wait a minute. Then, that's when also you start to, the things that used to interest you don't interest you. I was an avid gym rat. Love going to the gym. Love lifting. Some of my brothers in arms that watch this, that knows me, knows I was in the gym. Hopefully the guy that showed me how to lift is watching this. Because, I was in the gym a lot. And then I start shying away from that. To start the things that I that I loved, that all of a sudden I didn't have that much interest. Then, you start there's a few other things too. Like in my instance was crowds. All of a sudden, I don't like being around everybody anymore. All of a sudden it's just like what is going on? I even started stuttering, couldn't concentrate on the word. Some of the most easiest word to find, even if you're trying to find the word, like you say simple. Hey man, it's really it's not hard to do. You can't really find that. That's what it does. It messes with you, and you don't realize what's going on. You have no idea what's going on because your sleep is disrupted. I wake up in sweats. Yeah, I'm running in my sleep, literally sprinting a marathon as if I'm trying to run away. My wife's told me, hey, you're like running, like literally running. And the images you can't get the images out of your head either, of what's going. It's a constant torture. It's like kind of PTSD is literally like living the same nightmare over and over and over again and not knowing what to do about it because everything about you changes. And here's the thing that people have to understand. It ain't your fault. That's one of the biggest things is that PTSD is not your fault. It's your reaction. Because I can't speak for everybody, but I can speak for a few, especially when it comes to this military. It's like we have something happen and we have a mission to do. We got a job to complete. Like we don't got time to worry about the feelings involved or anything like that. We got a job to complete. And a lot of us associate PTSD in the military with, look, that's the end of my career if I say something. Like, well, it could possibly be the end of you if you don't. You know what I mean? And that's just real. That's just real. I recently had a brother in arms actually took his life, and he was a special person to me. And that sucked. So you gotta speak up. You gotta speak up. Claim it. Claim it. I have a few other friends going through it, and this one's for y'all. Like I put this out there because y'all not the only ones. I need to let you know that just because I don't put it all over Facebook, you know what I mean, or I don't yell it to, hey, I got this, I got that, and nothing against people who do. Nothing against the people who do. I know friends who put it on Facebook and they're owning it. And but hey, I'm choosing YouTube. I'm choosing YouTube, but actually I guess it'd be on Facebook too. But
Well, and Podbean
yeah,
and
probably yeah. So
Spotify.
yeah, we're putting it all out there.
Well,
So, but this is the thing is that eventually got sidetracked there. That's another part of it. So eventually, I can remember sitting in a meeting, and I remember the meeting was going on, and I'm sitting there with my bosses, colonels, so on and so forth, and they're talking, and I'm going in full blown anxiety attack, leg stomping. I'm starting to sweat. I started crying, and I ended up getting up, and the meeting was over. I shifted through it, and they asked us, "Dude, you all right?" I said, "Yeah, no, I'm fine. Hey, I'm cool. Nothing wrong with me." And I remember going to my office, and I remember two of my bosses coming in, like, "Hey, man, you okay?" And it was almost like those were the magic words. Are you okay? And very quickly, I revealed to them that I wasn't. Yeah, in the form of tears, hyperventilating, panicking, all of that. And yeah, they walked me down and said, "Hey, we need to get you some help." So they walked me down to our local mental health and got me some help. Got me some help, and I really do appreciate them both. I hope they're watching this. I appreciate you both. Now we're not gonna name names,
well,
we
no,
can't name
we're
names,
not.
but yeah.
But I'm going to go back for a second,
Mm-hmm.
because what they didn't know is that the week or 2 weeks before we had already gone, we had walked to
True.
mental health,
True.
and we had already started the process.
Mm-hmm.
Because we had something that had happened,
Right.
and we
Right.
talked about it, and decided that this was the best thing to do. And
Yeah.
when Monday morning came around, because what had happened was on a Friday,
Yeah.
and when Monday morning came around, we first thing went
Yeah.
right into
Yeah.
that office and did an intake, and it was
Yeah.
kind of an all-day affair.
Yeah. It was all day affair.
Yeah.
Because I can remember telling my wife, "Look, something's not right. I can't get these thoughts out of my head. I can't get these visions out of my head." I said, I need to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, it's for anybody watching, any of my friends, even if we're not friends, if you just happen to click on this and you're watching this, dude, I get it. I get it. You don't want to lose your career. I get it. You don't want people to know. I get it. Trust me, I was in a position of leadership. I was in a leadership position. And the stigma of, no, the leader is not supposed to have personal mental issues either. Personal issues going on. No, you're supposed to be leading us. You're not supposed to be dealing with stuff too. Like, how can you lead when you're dealing with stuff? Like, no, but you're a human being. You got to this leader position, and there are things that people don't know that you go through. But it's up to you as an individual and as a leader, because that's part of being a leader, right? It's showing your people and your subordinates that it's not weak to ask for help.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We push that, but then we don't do it ourselves. So,
Right.
so but yeah, we went and we sought help.
Yeah.
And,
So by the time that it happened at the meeting,
by the time it happened at the meeting,
you already had someone in mental health
Right.
that you'd been starting to work with.
Right. I was always working with somebody in mental health. And I don't know if different branches call them something, but that's mental health is Air Force for therapy.
Yeah.
In a nutshell. So it's what we call it the mental health office. So but yeah, and they straight up got us some help. My leadership walked us down, called my wife, and said, we need you to come here.
And I didn't get it. Was very scary for me because we had already started the battle.
Yeah.
We'd already called the demon by its name. We knew what was going on.
Truth.
And I was at work.
Mm-hmm.
And got the call, and it was just, how quickly can you be here? And I said, I can be there in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I was.
Yeah.
And I was shaking the whole way and crying and praying because I didn't know. Nobody told me anything.
Yeah.
I want to get through this without crying.
Yeah. We may have to pause and maybe a few edits in this you guys may see.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that was a very scary day for me.
Mm-hmm.
And was so thankful when I saw him standing with leadership in the parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I was so thankful because I
Yeah.
didn't know what had happened. I didn't know what I was going to walk into.
Yeah, they stood by us through the whole thing. They walked us through the entire thing, and So without going to all of that,
we're not.
we're not.
Because here's the thing: it's something personal
It
between
is.
us.
It is.
It was something that I had always been kind of aware of. I think any spouse, you just kind of watch your spouse and you're like, hey, that's different. And you just kind of bank it, and then you see something else and you're like, oh, something's going on.
Yeah.
And I was recognizing that, and it wasn't anything he did to me, because he didn't do anything to me.
Yeah.
It was just, we were somewhere and I was like, hey, I need you to come with me, because I had a bad feeling, and it was just a bunch of stuff that led up to it. And I'm so thankful, because here's the biggest thing is you also, if you wouldn't have wanted help, then we wouldn't be sitting here right now. We just wouldn't be.
Right. Because a lot of the times that a lot of the things that we notice that, well, at least in the from a military perspective, these things go undiagnosed. So you start a spiral down a path, and people can misconceive you as a person that is either reckless or doesn't care or anything like that, but not realize, because
you had experienced that.
Yes,
it was already.
It was
for
starting.
many years.
It was starting.
He was getting mislabeled,
right?
And this perception of him was not at all accurate, and I could see that when we were dating. I would have people talk to me about you, and I'm like, what are you guys talking about? This doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And so you got to understand, it's one of those things, when you're going through PTSD, the hardest thing to do is ask for help.
To admit it. Well, and for some people,
to admit it,
I'm sure, though, also for some people, it's like, hey, is this just age? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't think about it because their job is to work in trauma.
Yeah.
So they're not thinking about that their body is having a response to trauma.
Right.
And they're not thinking about how many trauma responses. I don't know if you remember how many trauma responses you and Ramo had worked out, but like, as far as were able to pinpoint, but
Yeah.
there were several. This
Yeah.
is not one trauma response.
Right. And there's, you guys, I'm gonna tell you, like, the symptoms of PTSD. We just named a few. There's
And these
you'd
are
be
his
these are just
symptoms.
my symptoms, but they're also the most common ones,
Sure.
right? You know what I'm saying? And so, look, I have no problem admitting, yeah, chronic severe PTSD is what was my diagnosis, and it took a little while to figure out, because denial. That's
Sure.
I'm like, no, they wrong. There's nothing wrong with me. Yeah, well, why do you have like 5 to 10 deadlines that you've missed and you haven't even responded about, emails that you haven't even put up, and it's like, so either you're just slacking on the job or there's something going on, and I'm like, well, I ain't no slacker, so you know what I mean?
And anybody that knows him knows he's not a slacker.
Yeah, I'm not a slacker.
And that should have been the first.
Yeah.
One, there's always burnout at a job, right?
Yeah.
Everybody has burnout in life.
Yeah.
But that should have been, if people would have been paying attention. Of course, paying attention to an individual is unfortunately not part of the mission.
Right. Well, it is, but a lot of the times, yeah. So no. Paying attention to your people is part of the mission, but a lot of times you won't really notice the biggest changes until you won't notice the change until it's the big change, right? So like,
right, because you can't. I mean, obviously you can't have a mission if your people aren't
right,
taken care of. But I don't think that leadership is always versed. In symptoms, in behaviors, like they should be.
Right, and because, I mean, let's face it, they're not therapists.
No,
you know what I mean? But
and you don't have to be though.
Right, but at the same time, sometimes you can tell, like, hey, wait a minute, your work ethic is not
what it
used to be. Like, is there something going on, or
your history shows
right,
of you? So
So, but it can be tough though, because there are some of us that want to blame our leadership too.
Oh, of course.
For not noticing or not doing enough to help us, and stuff like that. And I can't speak for the civilian side, but I know that whether you're a supervisor, a commander, or whatever, or a friend, you know what I mean, and you see those things. But I think one of the hardest things is getting the individual to know that this is exactly what happened.
And because you're going to have to go through a process
because the
believing
denial
it yourself.
That I still struggle with it. Yeah. I still struggle with believing that this is what happened. And I get reminded in my dreams. You know what I mean? I get reminded when I can't go anywhere alone. Those are reminders. I get reminded when you can't sit in a room, you can't have your back to the door. You get reminded. You get reminded when you're paranoid in crowds. When you never had that problem before, right? You never had that problem before. Now I can't even drive to the store by myself. You know what I mean? And so it can be, trust me, I get it. It can be overwhelming. But I'm here to tell you, if you don't get help, not being able to drive to the store by yourself turns to not being able to leave your house, period.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Not being able to stand to the back, to the door with your back up against the door, like in a restaurant, turns into anxiety attacks. Just going to the mailbox. You know what I'm saying? And so not being able to concentrate can turn into spatial disorientation, can turn into disassociation with everybody, can turn into you pushing people back. And I've noticed a lot of my friends, they're going through it. I'm not naming names, but you know who you are. You know if you said something, you know if you haven't. But this is literally to let people know that it exists.
It does exist.
If you are one of those people that be like, no, there's nothing wrong. He or she is just an a-hole and this and this and that. These are all excuses. You're just miseducated.
Very much so.
You're just miseducated.
And you're also not paying attention to the man or woman who they are.
Right.
And who the core of them is.
Right.
And you're also not taking into account certain behaviors. You're not
Right.
looking at certain behaviors, which, but, and I realize not everybody's like me. I really pay attention to people. I really read people. And I can look back and on you
Mm-hmm.
and say that was a behavior. That was
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
demonstration. That was a addiction. That was a this,
Right.
that, and most of the time, I'm not going to say most of the time. For me, though, I can see in you the addiction to adrenaline.
Yeah.
I can
So we
definitely
have,
see that
so
because that's
there's
what makes you feel good.
right. So there's now here's the thing. Nothing against adrenaline junkies. That doesn't
Right.
mean, oh, you got PTSD,
No,
you're an
yeah.
adrenaline junkie. But some of the things that they call hyper behaviors, or I'm not sure if I'm calling it that.
Sure.
They'll, you know what I'm saying? They'll be like, hey, you're taking unnecessary risk or high risk in things that you wouldn't normally take. You know what I'm saying? And like, I mean, and heck, I see it in myself. We drive by the skydive, and I'm like, babe, she's like, are you out of your mind? I'm like, I mean,
I'll be on the ground.
and she's like, I'm like, but it'd be pretty cool. She's like, for who? Because I'm not doing, you know what I mean? But
Not
these are
doing it.
things I'd be like, I'm not doing that before. And there are things that, I have to understand and look at, from adrenaline. And I go to groups. I go to PTSD groups. And I thought that the stuff that I'm feeling was me alone. And I go to these groups and I find that the people there, they are literally spitting the same stuff that I was going through.
Yeah.
With your family thinking that you're just a-holes, with like, wow, you're, this and that, not realizing that there's something going on, or with the fact that you now disassociated yourself, you can't concentrate on things anymore. You know what I mean? You have those angry outbursts, or they'll chalk that up to like, this dude got issues. Well, yeah, this dude or this female does, because it's not just guys. I run into females with them too.
Of course.
And so I got to tell you, PTSD, at least from a military standpoint, they're getting better. They're getting better. They have a long road to go with getting our people help, but they are definitely getting better. Yeah. So, but that's kind of our story there. But there's some other things that we also want to share with you guys. So that's what happened, and that's how we found out. And let's talk about the ongoing battle, right?
Yeah,
the ongoing battle. Yes, excuse the wife. She had to let my service dog in.
I had to let the dog in.
She's literally going nuts because she see me getting a little upset on the outside. Like, hey, so let's talk about the ongoing battle. So we've been separated. We're actually coming up on our 1-year anniversary of being separated from the military.
Big battle.
Big battle. You talk about the ongoing battle because let's face it. You do 20. I don't even care if you do 4 years in the military. That's life changing, because the military is a lifestyle. It's life changing, and for you to separate or retire, it is a very difficult lifestyle change. So you talk about ongoing battle. You take that battle up a notch when you say you've been separated because of PTSD or whatever mental issue it is. But we're going to focus on PTSD at this point. So you have to deal with the PTSD. Now you have the nightmares even more, because it's like you've gotten out, and so that adrenaline is gone. That constant go. I gotta get to work. I got that schedule for the mission. That's gone now. So now your brain is like, look, I've been holding all this back that you dealt with, that piece of that trauma. I've been holding all this back in that trauma, and now that you're not on go status now, here you go. Here's everything I've been holding back, and it comes in a wave of everything. Your brain get flooded with emotions, with different chemicals and all that it's been holding back. So bring on the nightmares, bring on the high anxiety, bring on the I can't stand too close to people. I don't like people standing too close to me. Bring on the snapping at random people. Bring on all of these things. Bring on all of a sudden what's going on with my hands. I got arthritis in my hands. Because here's the thing, your body can't deal with all those floods of chemicals and emotions. But your brain is literally like, I've been sheltering this and holding this from you and keeping you safe so you can do this mission. Now it's time for you to take care of it. So it floods your body with everything.
The minute you relax, and that no matter what happens in your life to make you relax, whether it's you got out or you're still in, or in Mr. Hobbs' case here, he met me.
Yeah,
I don't know how that could relax anybody,
it
but
relaxed me.
it
So
relaxed him enough to where his body was like, no, you know what, you're good.
yeah,
And then bring on the hearing aids,
yeah,
bring on the eyeglasses,
yeah.
bring
Bring on
on
the
the
CBD
CBD
smokes
vape,
that I'm
uh,
smoking on. So
bring on a lot of body issues, health issues
yeah,
that we were not aware of
no,
because his body was protecting him so much so
right.
he could complete the mission.
And this is a true fact. This is if for
That's what
those who going,
happens.
it's exactly what happens.
Military or
Well,
not, that's
no,
what
that's what
happens.
happens. And look, I feel like we got to throw a disclaimer. We're not doctors.
We're not doctors, we're not
We're not
therapists. We're talking
doctors.
about us.
We're talking about us. And these, I've had to go to the classes about my brain, and this is why this is happening. Because those people in the classes with me was like, look, I was healthy than a mug,
Mm-hmm.
and now all of a sudden this is going on, this is going on, this, and it was like, yeah, here's why. Like your body is an amazing machine. Your brain is even wow.
It's a supercomputer.
Right. And if you feel like it betrayed you, you know what I mean? Because we talk about the ongoing battle. The ongoing battle is that every time you turn around, it seems like every week you got something else going on with your body. But you have to understand it's a flood. These things are gonna happen, but you'll get through them. Things will get better. Find yourself a regimen. Find, like remain active. Try to look. I'm not sitting here saying that we've done all of those things. Nope. I'm telling you some of the things that have worked. I'm telling you some of the things that have worked and do work.
And some of the things that we need to get back to.
But we need to get back
but
to.
we at the time of all of this, life was changing for us anyways. We had just gotten married. We had just bought a bar. And then all this is going on. And then fast forward to when we find out you're being medically retired. Our bar is now shut down. COVID has happened.
Mm-hmm.
So when I say you and I have had a hell of a run.
Yeah.
And haven't really, then we didn't trust gyms. We used to walk and do stress relievers and stuff like that. We had to.
Yeah.
Or you would be at the bar with me. So we were active in that way. Because running a bar is not for the faint of heart.
It is not.
But once all that stuff, happened and COVID hit, it was like, oh, we're gonna sit on the couch and we're gonna just because then you retired in the middle of COVID.
Yep. So it was literally
there was no gym to go to.
No. So I mean, it changed. A lot of things changed. Our life changed, right? It changed big time. We go from I told my wife I'm gonna take you here, there, the military. Let's just do this and that.
We had plans.
We had plans. We had great plans. And but this is things change. You know what I mean? And we're here to tell you guys we understand. We understand the struggle. We understand the battle. You know what? No, I was blessed enough where I didn't go through a trauma that caused a loss of limb or something like that.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But to those who are going through that, we understand the actual thoughts. We understand, hey, this is difficult. Yeah.
The reliving.
Reliving the thing over and over and over again.
And we understand how important it is for you to get help.
How important it is for you to get help.
Continue treatment.
Yeah, because I can't tell you, one of the things that we've also seen is, I come home and tell her, my wife takes me to the group. Obviously she doesn't come in the group, but sometimes you'll see people that just aren't there. They just stop coming, or you'll see that, like what happened to so and so? No, they didn't come anymore. And and it can be tough. It can be tough because whether you knew these people or not, they're your brother and sister in arms.
Sure.
They're your brother and sister in arms. It's like, but it's life changing.
It is life changing, and I think something that I really want to get out here is the treatment portion, the therapy portion of it, and how important that is, and how important it is that you're with a therapist that is working with you and that you get along with, that you like.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, oh, this is my doctor. No, this is your therapist.
Yeah.
And if you don't like them or you don't feel like there is it's not a friendship, I don't know what to call it, just a kindred connection, just some form of connection,
yeah,
it's not going to work. It's not going to work. And please don't think you're going to hurt their feelings. That's their job, is to be a good fit for you. And it was very hard because the one we had through the military, on base when you were active duty, was so good for you
Yeah,
that
yeah,
you guys were like brothers,
yeah,
and it was working. And Davie was able to go through some really heavy shit.
yeah.
Excuse my language, but really heavy shit.
Well, guess we can't
No,
monetize this.
damn
Nice
it.
going.
Don't care. Um,
No.
so, but my thing about this is you were able to then handle
Mhm.
stupid life stuff, stupid drama that,
Yeah,
drama comes your way and you can't do anything about it. You just have to
yeah,
get through it.
yeah,
And all this stuff, we were having barbecues, we were,
yeah,
getting to have more people. Of course, we were in
yeah,
COVID, but at the same time, things were, there was a brighter side.
yeah.
There was a brighter side. And then once you got out, and we kind of had to turn over to the VA,
Things changed.
things changed, and
Things
Davie
changed.
went from being seen once a week while on active duty to being seen twice a month to then being seen once a month,
Depending on,
depending on a cancellation, because
yeah,
things happen.
yeah,
And the VA is a very busy spot for
yeah.
mental health.
But
So, and it's really good. However, that's when you then have to sit there and you're like, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine.
right.
And the other person in your life has to be able to have the courage to say, no, you're not.
Mm-hmm.
You're regressing, and I've let you go for a little while now, but you're not handling things as well as you were. And I feel like we're going back to square one.
Yeah.
And so you always have to be an advocate. And if you can't be the advocate, you need to find someone in your life that can be
Mm-hmm.
that person for you.
Yeah, and that's the thing, that you guys, don't let it just go. That
Can't
the
let it
VA
go.
is a whole nother special that we'll be having.
Oh, yeah.
So that's a whole nother special. But when it comes down to the PTSD, the important thing is speak up. Speak
Please
on
speak
it.
up.
Like, yourself. If you're wondering what the hell is wrong with me, like, what, like, I used to love going here. I used to love doing these things.
Yeah.
Now they don't interest you at all, or it's downright impossible. You know what I mean? Like, literally, you were screaming inside yourself to speak. You were literally screaming inside yourself. This happened to me. Whether you're fighting to
Yeah.
get the words out.
It's
You-
happened to you here at home.
Yeah.
It
where
doesn't
you're
matter where
fighting,
you are. It's
right?
going to come out.
It's going to come out. You're fighting in your head to get the words out, and then by the time it comes out, it's like an explosion.
Yeah.
Because you haven't been able to get it out. So yeah, it is life changing. But it made us look back on a few situations in our lives. You know what I mean? There's a lot, what I found when I went through therapy, and that when he used to talk to me about, hey, when you came back from Iraq, were these things happening? Where did you have the headaches? And we chalk it up as, no, it's just a headache. It's cool. Yeah, you never used to have them before. You know what I mean? You never used to have them before, so you take your headache medicine and call it a day, right? You don't think anything of it. And then maybe not even that year, maybe years later, all of a sudden, the visions, right? The visions, the waking up to the explosions that you think are still going on, but they're not. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things that not just military members, civilians go through things too, but for the military, what I'm trying to say is that when you look back on certain situations, you're like, wait a minute, I started doing that back then. Yeah, they did. The angry outbursts, the people label you as an angry individual. Like, I'm not angry. Yeah, no, I'm not. It's like, I'm tired of people just not doing their job right. Yeah, well, there's that. But there's an angry outburst for somebody coming 10 minutes late. Does it really need that? Or, your kid messed up on something, as kids do, an angry outburst there. Or you know what I mean? All of a sudden, I think one of the biggest things that was in our story was the concentration. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it was the concentration. Is that your work ethic starts to decrease. And you didn't come to labels, right? Because it can seem to us who has this condition, it can seem that we're being attacked more so than understood.
Oh,
It can
absolutely.
seem that we're being attacked more so than understood.
And in some instances, you were.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah,
not.
and then yeah, in some instances,
And
that's
even if
exactly
the
what it
person
is.
knew that you had PTSD
Yeah,
or that there was something wrong, it wouldn't have mattered. You know,
right.
you're just that's a part of life though
It
too.
is. It is, and it's we're not hiding behind this condition,
Nope.
you know. And when I'm telling everybody with it, don't hide behind it. Embrace it. You know, yeah, these things happen, but that they don't make you who you are.
No,
You know
it
what I'm
doesn't
saying?
define
It
you
doesn't
at
define you. It
all.
doesn't define you.
No.
But don't run from the help either.
No, you're
Especially if you already have a support system. Don't push it away. You know, don't push it away. And
yeah.
yeah, I will tell you that looking back, we can say that, you know, wow, a lot. You know, we can say wow a lot. I'm not gonna sit here and lie. I was blown away by the help from our leadership.
Sure,
That our
because
leadership was,
we had a team immediately. It was like this very cool,
mhm,
amazing core team
yeah,
that just kind of put their arms around us in some ways great, and in some ways it wasn't so great. You know, no sooner would we get something figured out that maybe another team member would be like, "No, we think you should do this."
hmm,
And it was nice being a part of that.
yeah,
It was my honor, as I say to you all the time. It is my honor to get to go on this journey with you.
yeah,
Um, because it's hard, and there's nobody else I'd rather like stand beside and push you to get it taken
hmm.
care of.
Well, thanks, baby.
Um, but you know, it was they were really good to us. And there's a couple in particular that really shined,
Hmm.
and you know really quickly who your friends are,
Yeah,
and you
very,
know really quickly who your family is.
that's hard facts.
And that's going to be even hard, and it might even create a new trauma point.
Yeah.
But guess what? If it's on the road to your success and your recovery, then that's what has to happen. And sometimes people need to be removed so that
Hmm.
you can get better.
It's true. So it's look, you guys. At the end of this, we're going. If you're watching the YouTube, you know we're going to be putting up some numbers for you guys. Excuse the brightness right there. The sun
Clouds.
just the sun
We
just
got
came through.
clouds.
If you watch it on YouTube, that's exactly what happened. The sun came out and
There
it's
it is
like,
again.
hey, welcome. What's up, everybody? Here I am. But
Oh my God.
hey, yeah, I know. But no, we have to say that this isn't something that gets cured overnight.
Mm-mm.
This isn't something that gets cured overnight. Yeah, we're gonna have some numbers up, Veteran Crisis Line, PTSD, the VA websites,
Yeah.
and it. I'm here to tell you, if you're going through it, call those numbers.
Yeah, they
If
even
you,
have a text one now. If you don't
yeah,
want to talk to someone,
you
you
can
can text
text.
them.
Yep, we will be having those up too. And so, you know, what we can say is that this has been our journey. You know,
Yeah.
this has been our journey. It's not everybody's journey
And we're still
because
on the journey.
we're still on the journey. And I mean, heck, like I said, I got I got a service dog and a service human.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
I was here first, though.
She was it first. The service human was it first. So true, you know, true story. When it came down to it, and during all of this, you know, my wife was such trusted, a trusted individual. You know, it's my wife, I trust her. But my leadership even turned me over to my wife. My wife cared.
I didn't know that was a thing.
That was a thing.
Scared the hell out
My
of me.
leadership worked with her and was like, hey, because a lot of it, I couldn't even go to work.
Yeah.
So it was like, well, hey, can you at least come to noon? And I was like, cool, I'll come to noon.
Hmm.
Then I'm sitting there because that's another thing I didn't mention. You know, especially those in leadership positions, it can be tough because yes, they will have to remove you from that position. Not as a, oh man, you ain't nothing, get out of here.
Yeah.
This is the hard conversation to have, right? Because that's the one that nobody wants to hear. Now, I don't want to be removed from my position. You know what I'm saying? I want somebody else taking my job. Yeah, but do you think you're in the perfect shape to be doing this?
Sure.
You know, it's like come on. You're not in the perfect shape to be doing this. And you know, I had to admit that. And so yeah, I had to be removed from my position. And
And we
And
were given options, though. You
right,
were given options, and it was, hey, we can do this, this, and this.
yeah,
Obviously, you had to be. It wasn't that you were demoted, but it was that your care was more important at that
right,
time.
right.
They literally, I will say this, did everything they could
Yes,
to
yes,
keep
they
you
did.
in, to keep you, and whatever you needed, they were ready to do. But there were just some things that you and I didn't feel was for us.
Hmm.
And that was a hard decision to
Yeah,
make because then we knew, once they turned him over to me, it was like, okay, well, yes, he is still active duty, but he is your responsibility,
right, right.
and you are going to have to keep this government property safe because
It
that's what it is. And
is, yeah,
I'm sitting there going, oh Lord,
yep.
do you guys
So,
know what you just did?
right. So, yeah, but for those who saw the other special we did on Tad Saw, that was also a result of the PTSD. Also, was
Yes,
at least from the Air Force perspective, the Wounded Warrior program helped.
they
It
did.
helped. They reached out to us,
Right when we
and
knew we were getting medically
we
retired, we
and
got a
and
call, and
it's and they even changed my job status to Wounded Warrior,
yeah,
and it got me the help. When I left, I was definitely prepared, and even got me set up with a service dog. Uh, yeah, everything was good. But as we said, this is from our perspective. This is us putting it out there to the masses, our story.
yeah,
This isn't to say somebody watching, well, I don't have access to that. Well, okay, this is
but you do,
you do.
but you do.
Whether it's the VA or through any of the other
Red
organizations out
Cross,
there, the help is there.
United Way.
Help is there.
There is communities, and you know what? I'm telling you right now, if you're a civilian and you absolutely can't find anything in your community or a national something on a website, there is someone in your community that can help you get to where you need to be. There is a Red Cross, there is a fire station, there is somewhere there that they are going to say, hey, here's a resource for you.
Right.
Don't use that as an excuse.
Right. And so we have to go ahead and just say, look, the world may not seem like a great place sometimes, especially when you living in your head. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially when you live in your head, it can seem like nobody cares. It can seem like nobody understands. You know what I mean? It can seem as if you feel like you're going crazy.
Yeah.
Uh,
But you're
but
not.
yeah, that's not it.
You
Trust me,
you
that
just
is
need
not
a
it.
nudge. You just need some help, and you need
Yeah,
people to understand. But the biggest part of that is you have to say something. You have to say something, and um, I'm gonna speak for a little bit.
go
Okay.
ahead, go ahead, babe.
As a spouse, it is very hard um, because I see the misconceptions people have, and I'm one of those people. I don't tell people my business anyway. Like Davey's always been one of those that's just out there. Hey, I'm gonna do this. Hey, I'm gonna do that. And when I met him, I was like, yeah, I don't tell people nothing.
Had to learn to move in silence, right?
Yeah, because I'm like, no, because they, always come against you.
Hmm.
They can use it against you. So when we were first going through this, of course, he didn't want anybody to know, which was hard. We have 5 children.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, so I took the stance of I wasn't going to say anything until it was absolutely necessary or until I saw that he wasn't going to say something. And I gave him quite a while, quite many, many months. Now, for a few of our children who were with us every day and close, they had to know. They had to know, and they had to understand that there was no safety issue here. There was no abuse going on. It was nothing like that. Uh, and we were fortunate in that. You were fortunate in that,
Yeah.
that it wasn't coming out in that way.
Yeah.
Um, but they also needed to understand that dad isn't always or couldn't always be there in the way he was. He couldn't handle the day-to-day drama of of teenage life or of young adult life, and they needed to take a step back and be more mindful of you and how they were acting and things like that. That was hard. I forgot where I was going with that because there's so much in here. It was hard as a spouse for me because I didn't want to tell people because that was his wishes, and I'm not going to go against my husband. I'm just not. Unless, of course, it's a dangerous situation. So I had to keep quiet to a lot of people, and all of a sudden they just, oh, he's just controlling. See, we said
Yeah.
he seemed like a nice guy, but he's controlling. He's military. He's staunch. He wants you with him 24/7. And what I couldn't say is no. He was released to me by the United States Air Force. This was a job I gladly accepted and took because I love our military. I love our country. And I love knowing what my husband did for this country and how he protected me before he even knew me, because that's how I view it, and that's how I view all military. They don't know me, but they're out there protecting me and my child and our children. So that was hard. I had someone ask me the other day, hey, were you angry? Do you get angry over your husband's PTSD? Not at him and not at the military. I get angry when I realize that people that shared a life with him were not paying attention. I get angry because it was easier for them to call him an asshole or to be mean to him than it was to say, hey, that's not Davie, there's something wrong. I get angry in people labeling you and wanting to call you this or that have no idea what is going on and why I'm with you 24/7. They don't know, and they didn't need to know, and now we have a voice and we're going to tell them.
Yeah.
And it's not for sympathy. It's not because we're happy.
Right.
We are. We're happy.
If this sounds familiar to some of the people that are watching, if this sounds familiar, this is our story, and we're here to let you know we understand.
Yeah,
we're here to let you know that you're not alone. Also, you're not alone.
And it's okay if you can't be alone.
Mm-hmm.
Find someone or go seek out someone. It's okay.
Yeah.
Because when therapy is good, and you'll take Nala and go to the store or whatever. But the fact is too is we're still new at this married thing with each other, and we still like each other. So we like being around each other.
Yeah.
But it was one of those, if you weren't going to be at work, then he had to be with me.
Yeah.
And that was okay. I was fine with that. And then the military, also me being your spouse, found out real quick that after they released you to me, and I had made a kind of, not a deal, but it was very much a talking to, that, hey, you can't then, and this is what they told me, we can't talk to him without you being present now. Do you understand that? Yeah. And actually, I'm happy about that. I would rather it be that way. And then some of them decided to take it upon themselves one day to come to the house, and I wasn't here, and have a meeting with him without our knowledge. And our youngest called me and said, hey, Misty, there's some guys here from the military, and Dad's not happy. And I two-wheeled it around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
I drove very fast and let them have it in the middle of the street and reminded them that he was in my custody and they have no jurisdiction over my house. And I said quite a few expletives, and it was the first time I'd ever cussed anybody out in uniform.
but you know what? Oh, God. But you know what? It needed to be said.
It did, and it did.
But this is, at the same time, we got to tell y'all, this is our story.
It is.
This is our story, and this is what we have to say. For some of you listening, even if you view the things that we're saying as going on rants, no, it's not.
It's not.
There's a lot of it, because we know you guys. Number one, we know you guys have a story too. You remember, this happened, this happened, this happened. Look, my PTSD stems from a lot in Iraq, and it stems from a lot when I was in Japan. It stems from when I was flying. You know what I mean? So there's different things. There are a few of my firefighter buddies that I hope are watching this that was there with me. I hope you're watching this. Obviously, I'm not going to throw names out there. You guys know who you are. That you were there with me, and you're living through the same exact thing that I'm living through right now. It hurts, but I'm here to tell you, trust me, seek the help.
Yeah,
And this is
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
It's just it's a first responders thing too, and people need to be mindful of that. And with you, your career was kind of split between being a firefighter and then you went over
To be a boom operator.
to be a boom,
Yeah.
and so which meant you were a flyer. You were in a plane over some pretty hefty, scary places over this world.
Right.
And you can only imagine.
Right.
He was in a flying gas station.
Yeah. So I will say this, and we'll go ahead and just talk about it just for a few more minutes. But I will say this, like having a support system is very crucial. And for those who are single, and they're like, hey, I don't have anybody. It couldn't be further from the truth. There are Facebook groups, veteran to veterans, us mentoring us. There are plenty of other PTSD groups that have people on there. There are other organizations out there that will understand. And like, hell, you can't even call the VA without the first thing they talk to you before the VA. Any of the VA numbers you call to even schedule a doctor's appointment, the first thing they're gonna give you is numbers for the helpline. If you're having a tough time, for the helpline, there is help out there. There's always people to talk to. There's always people to talk to. No, not everyone will understand. I had the stigma, like, well, I'm going to talk to a therapist that has never been in the military before. That was mine. That was my stigma. If you ain't never been in the military, how can you even relate to what I'm talking about? Now, granted, my first therapist made me think that, crap, man, you need to be going to therapy with me. but great guy. But at the same time, there's always somewhere. There's always somebody.
Yeah.
I talked to a friend of mine not too long ago, and he told me, like, all of a sudden he can't deal with being up in crowds, standing up when our bosses talk, the commanders call. He can't deal with having conversations with people. You know what I'm saying? He was there with me. He went through some stuff. I'm not going to put his business out there, but I know what he went through. I was there when it happened. He went through some stuff. Bro, if you're listening, please get some help. If you haven't, get some help. I'm not going to stop trying to contact you. I'm not going to stop. You know who you are.
And I think that's an important message for people that don't have PTSD but love someone that has PTSD. Text them. And if they don't text you back, don't take offense to it.
Yeah.
We're going through a unique thing in our life. You are going through a unique thing in your life, and maybe one day you're up to texting and maybe one day you're not. It doesn't mean the text isn't read and appreciated.
Yes. And so
you have to check on people.
Yes. I have friends who have gotten out. A female friend of mine got out. And I've seen her sometimes go on rants, on Facebook, much needed ones. When I'm reading the rant.
Yeah.
Much needed ones. But I also understand when I'm reading the rant, I'm like, man, some people don't get it.
Yeah.
Some people do not get it. Sometimes these rants are just warranted. You got to get it out.
Yeah, and you don't want to be treated differently because you have PTSD, but you also want people to be mindful
of the fact
that you have PTSD. So it's like, hey, you don't have to treat me any different, but you also need to be aware that I am very new at my condition because we are not even a year out of the military, and we are not even 2 years into your condition. We're still learning. Every day is a new learning curve, and your treatment is not linear. No one's treatment is linear, nor is the success of being treated for it. Everybody is going to be different, and we're still trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work.
Right, because for a lot of my military folks, PTSD can stem from the fact that you're leaving the military itself.
Absolutely.
And so we understand our one year anniversary is next month. You don't think there's been an uptick here? You don't think there's been an uptick
There
here?
is an uptick.
There is an uptick, and I know it's going to get worse
Yep.
before it gets better.
And we're prepared for it.
Right. So listen, guys, we're going to go ahead and end this, but we're going to say a few things. Veteran Crisis Line. The Veteran Crisis Line was at 1-800-273. What else last?
8255.
8255.
Option 1.
Option 1. You guys.
And then you can text 838-255.
Yes, you can text.
For those of you that want to learn more about PTSD, please go to PTSD.VA.GOV. It is PTSD Awareness Month. Every day they have something new you can do for the next 30 days. There's also an app. I just got the app, and it's called Family Coach. And it just has tips. And hey, is your loved one having a bad day? Here's a few things you can try. Hey, have you noticed this? It has a tracker on there where you can track the bad days, so you can see if there's, it's just there's apps for that now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of places you can go to, as I said, Red Cross, the United Way. Everybody has some form of program. And then the Vet Center.
Oh, the Vet Center.
Vet Center has 300 places across the nation.
We highly recommend the Vet Center.
And we just started with it, and they have I just found out they have a group for spouses, and I cannot wait. Of course,
Yes.
Everybody's reopening because of COVID.
Right.
I can't wait because, I would like to have the one thing I learned from your therapist before, while we were still in, was the secondary PTSD.
Right.
And trust me, it is a thing.
It is.
And not only that, but then there's the, I worry about him, and I have to tell myself not to. And, if he's gone for an extended period of time, I'm like, where is he? Is everything okay? And then I have to take a step back. I told somebody last week, I have to check myself every day because he's allowed to be angry. If he stubs his toe, he's allowed to cuss it out. It's not his PTSD. It's just him having a bad day and he stubbed his toe.
Right.
Or someone said something he didn't like. He gets to be himself.
You all do.
Yeah, you get to be you. It does not define who you are, but you also need to be more mindful that there is this ongoing condition, and that if it's not taken care of the way it should be, that it can turn into a physical injury.
Absolutely. Just remember, you are allowed to be yourself. You're a human being also. Like she said, you stub your toe. And you start cursing it out, or you're mad.
Cussing makes it feel better. That's scientific.
There's not always that PTSD. Somebody steals something from you, and you cursing them out. It's like, wow, you're really angry. It must be your PTSD. No, I'm mad as hell that you stole something from me.
And you don't have to walk on eggshells.
You ain't got to walk on eggshells. Be who you are. Still live your life. Don't think that everything that you're going through, every time that you get angry, is like, oh, it's PTSD. No, sometimes really you have a right to be angry.
And as
when people
spouses,
are mistreating you, treating you certain ways, or something like that.
As spouses and people that love people with PTSD, hey, you get to call them out on it too. You get to say, hey, are you having a bad day?
Yeah.
One of our sons will write before he comes over, hey, is Davie having, is he okay today? Because he's aware, it's just some days are good and some days are bad. And that's all you have to do. You can go, and I can say to him, hey, you're getting a little overwhelmed. Yeah. So we need to go, or we need to switch up what we're doing.
Trust me, guys. The bottom line is we get it. I get it. There's movies you can't watch now without breakout and crying. You're crying over random commercials that you wouldn't cry over before. Like, why the hell am I crying about a commercial about dry eyes? I don't understand it. But and so I mean, I don't. I'm just saying. But the point is, guys, please seek the help. Okay. You guys, please seek the help. It's PTSD Awareness Month. You guys seek the help out there. As always, take care of each other. You know what I mean? This has been our special for DMYs on PTS Awareness. So we're going to go ahead and end this and tell you guys, hey, I'm Davie.
I'm Misty.
And we are DMYs. Everyone, please take it easy over there and take care of each other. We'll let that go for a little while. I'm smoking this for a little bit.
Are you okay?
It actually went better than I thought.